What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Had to make this follow-up video, give you guys some updates. It now looks like Manny Pacquiao versus Chris Algieri. The fight is in limbo. This fight may not happen because Chris Algieri reportedly wants more money. So shout out to Boxing Scene for the article. Read through it. And my thoughts on it, I'm going to break it down in this video. My thoughts are good because this is a fight that I didn't want to see to begin with. And I'm happy if it doesn't go through. Now, I'm going to explain my thoughts. Some people are like, oh, you're hating on Pacquiao. No. Some of you guys, at the end of the day, you got to realize this. I'm very consistent. I was on Dante's Boxing Nation. Shout out to Dante. And he asked me on the radio show, go check the link, do I want to see Terrence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao in the immediate future? And I told him, no, I don't. For the simple fact, I'm from the old school. I think boxing should be gradual steps. You know what I mean? You have to work your way, prove your worth, and that kind of thing. Nowadays, people treat boxing like it's WWE and shit. You have Rey Mysterio fighting someone who's a gargantuan like Kevin Nash or Razor Ramon, someone who's clearly bigger than him. And I don't think that's what boxing is about. They have weight divisions for a reason. Let those guys in the smaller divisions, like Terrence Crawford, okay, he came in versus Gamboa like 20 pounds heavier than the fight contest weight. He might not be able to make 135. He might be able to. But his next natural progression should be 140, not moving up to fight Pacquiao at 147. And again, I'm very consistent, and I feel that way, whether it's when they were talking about Gamboa versus Pacquiao a little while ago or Mikey Garcia versus Pacquiao. I said the same thing. Terrence Crawford, Chris Algieri. It's nothing against any of those guys because I like those guys. It has something to do with why are they being rushed in their career. As a boxer, your lifespan is only so long. And depending on how you fight, your style, that might be even shorter. So I don't think boxers, I think it's unfair for boxers to be rushed and not prove their worth. It's kind of like a way to milk the consumer. And as boxing fans, some of you guys have a horrible habit of anytime someone's criticizing your fighter, like let's say it's Pacquiao, you'll bring up another motherfucker like Mayweather. You'll be like, oh, Victor Ortiz beat Berto and got the Mayweather shot. So what's the difference? Chris Algieri beat Ruslan Provodnikov. There's several differences. Because one, Victor Ortiz is a big boy. He's a big motherfucker. He weighed 165, I think it was, against Mayweather. He's known as vicious. This was before several losses. He was a southpaw. He's bigger than Floyd. He's fast. He's athletic. You know what I'm saying? He's just stout. And he clearly won against Andre Berto. You look at Chris Algieri in a lower division, struggled, had his eye almost shut, showed durability and boxing skills and overall the willingness to win. But depending on who you ask and what you like, some people thought Ruslan won, some people thought Chris Algieri won. So it wasn't like it was this Victor Ortiz, Andre Berto. Andre Berto was undefeated when he fought Victor Ortiz, and Victor Ortiz was not favored in that fight. They were banking on Andre Berto winning. So it's completely different circumstances. So some of you guys, you have these analogies and they don't even compare. They're not even equivalent. Chris Algieri, he showed what he was made of and he gained a lot of new fans that night. No disputing that. I like Chris Algieri. But his win over Ruslan is not comparable to half of the analogies that you guys give. Another thing, some people, you try to paint me into a corner, which is not going to happen. You say, Ego, you said you wanted fresh faces instead of recycled matches. True, I did say that because I don't want to see Marquez or Bradley rematches immediately. Those fights can be made later down the road. But I didn't say just any fresh face. Because if that's the case, then Pacquiao could fight Lomachenko, who fights clearly in several divisions lower than Pacquiao. I didn't just want any fresh face. Somebody with a bankable name, somebody who's going to bring some of a crowd or good competition to Pacquiao. I didn't just say anyone. You know what I mean? There's plenty of guys. That's like Richard Abril. I don't want to see Richard Abril versus fucking Pacquiao. It just doesn't make sense. I don't want to see that fight. So some of you guys are too literal. Like you said you wanted a fresh face. Chris Algieri's a fresh face. Yes, but put it into context, within reason. I don't think Chris Algieri, again, the public, who just name who was on YTBC really pumping Chris Algieri and constantly talking about Chris Algieri prior to the Ruslan Provodnikov people. Maybe a few, but not many. Ruslan Provodnikov put him on the map. That fight put him on the map. And that's where a lot of people gain respect and started following him and making videos and stuff like that. Not many people were talking about it. Now all of a sudden he's anointed a Pacquiao shot. So as far as this fight being in doubt, this is what Algieri's manager had to say. I'm just very surprised and disappointed what's going on. I know what's a good deal is worth, and it's a good deal. I think he's getting advice from people who aren't in the business, and they're not giving him good advice. This deal is a no-brainer. I have to think he's going to come to his senses eventually. Now, it's easy as fuck for a promoter or manager to say that. You know why? Because at the end of the day, it's all about money. And as a manager or promoter, you're due a cut. You get a percentage of whatever deal is made. So of course you're gonna be like, yeah, I know what a good deal is. That's a good deal. That's a good ass deal, Chris Algieri. At the end of the day, you're not the one taking the punches. It's not your career. You know what I'm saying? You might manage other fighters, where Chris Algieri has to think about his lifespan, his career, what happens next if he gets demolished by Pacquiao, things like that. As a manager, you don't have to worry about that. You're not going to deal with the swelling and black eyes and shit like that. All you know is at the end of the day, you're going to get your 10 to 30% or whatever commission you're charging your fighters. And they're reporting that Chris Algieri is being offered 1.5 million plus a slice of the pay-per-view proceeds, like a small portion of that. So for you, that sounded like a good chunk of change. Like, yeah, that's a good ass deal. But Chris Algieri, it sounds like you're saying he's getting bad information. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think he's getting good information because he's looking at the big picture. And the big picture is, in the scope of boxing today, the fans are fickle. There's guys who, like even Mike Alvarado, he's not that many fights removed from being undefeated. He was undefeated before Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios beat him. Then he lost to Ruslan. Then he lost to Marquez. Now all of a sudden, he's almost forgotten. He might be on ESPN Friday Night Fights. People are telling him to retire. Hang it up. They're like, Mike Alvarado, hang it up. You're over. You're done, son. And that's what it is in boxing. So Chris Algieri sounds like he realizes that. He's going to go over to an Asian populated country and go to Macau, China, and fight a fighter of Asian descent like Pacquiao, who's Filipino, and he might lose. And he realizes this. And this is what Chris Algieri had to say. If we're going to make this fight happen, I value myself and my health very highly. I just want what I deserve. And the funny thing is, this is going to get swept under the rug, but, leave it to ego to point it out. Mayweather, with the same opponent, Pacquiao, said basically the same thing. He says, I want Olympic-style drug testing. I just want to be on an even playing field, because at the end of the day, the fans aren't going to pay my bills, and I value my health. I'm trying to preserve my health. And some of you guys, because you hate Floyd Mayweather, you're going to be like, Mayweather's a pussy, he's a chicken, he's a ducker, man. Man, he's ducking. He's ducking. He values his health, he's ducking. He goes to the doctor, he's ducking. Like, Chris Algieri is saying the same ass shit that Mayweather just said. I value myself and my health very highly. And again, since I guess Chris Algieri is Captain America, some of you guys are going to sweep that on the rug like he didn't just say something identical to what Mayweather said. And this is true. As a boxer, you should value your health. I don't see why you wouldn't value your health. If you woke up and you went to piss and your dick is green, are you going to be like, man, you a pussy because you're going to the doctor to see what this green shit is on your dick? Like, no, you're not going to do that, because you value your health just like these fighters do. So it's funny that Mayweather says it and it's blasphemous, and then Chris Algieri is saying the same thing, and people probably are going to sleep on it and act like Chris Algieri didn't say that. They're not going to call him a chicken and a pussy for not fighting Pacquiao if the fight is not made. Like I said, I hope the fight doesn't get made. I hope this move, Chris Algieri playing hardball, puts Bob Arum, Top Rank, and Pacquiao in a predicament, to the point where they have to think outside of the box, work with Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, because they got some guys that are interchangeable. I don't know everyone's contract and stuff, but I do know from interviews and whatnot, Keith Thurman is not officially signed to Golden Boy. He works with them, does business with them. It's more of a partnership, and there's several fighters like that. Sean Porter's another one, but he's tied up. Keith Thurman versus Pacquiao, great fight. Again, I want to see a fresh face, but I also want to see Pacquiao fight somebody who is formidable, someone who's accustomed to the weight, just to see what Pacquiao really has left in the tank. There's other guys like Amir Khan. A few years ago, I probably wouldn't have wanted to see that fight. Now, with Amir Khan fighting a newfound style and kind of acclimating to it a bit with Virgil Hunter, this is a good fight. I really want to see Amir Khan. Some people are like, oh, he has a glass chin. He has a glass chin. Let's see Pacquiao knock him out. Pacquiao hasn't had a knockout since 2009. Amir Khan has some advantages. He's a tall fighter. He's rangy. He's good with in and out movement. His footwork's pretty good. He's very fast, fast as fuck. So him and Pacquiao both have speed. He's younger than Pacquiao. Pacquiao can crack. Pacquiao's a granite chin. Good fight. They'll both be able to sell the fight too, instead of Chris Algieri versus Pacquiao, and most of it's going to fall on Manny Pacquiao to sell tickets, as opposed to Chris Algieri, who's just coming to the forefront of boxing and just getting some of the spotlight and seeing more interviews and stuff with him. So I don't want to see Chris Algieri versus Pacquiao. I'll tell you straight up, and that's just my personal opinion. So I hope Chris Algieri is pricing himself out, because at the end of the day, you could say, oh, he should just take the 1.5 million plus pay-per-view proceeds. If not, he's an idiot. But he's really not, because again, you have to look at where boxing is this day and age. And this day and age, if you take a loss, it's almost like you're a bum. You know what I mean? You're overhyped. There's not been one major fight that I've seen where the fighter has taken a loss, has not had a bunch of like slanderous comments left online. Adrian Broner, undefeated. Then he loses to Marcos Maidana, the bigger puncher, the bigger person in terms of been fighting at 147 longer. And he's a bum. He's overhyped. He's overrated. He could be. I don't know. But people are quick to out you and move on to the next person who's doing well. Like, oh, Triple G's still winning. Lomachenko's still winning. So they'll jump on their dicks. And you're a castaway. You get abandoned. So I'm all for fighters gradually moving up, and that's just how it's always been. If you look at guys like Pacquiao, you look at guys like Mayweather, look at their careers. They gradually went through the steps and became who they were. Mayweather was fighting at 130, then he moved up, I think, to fight DeMarcus Corley, moved up to 135. That was his first fight there. Then he moved up, and then he moved up to welterweight and moved up to fight Oscar De La Hoya, drop back. I mean, this is how boxing historically has been. Like, you move up through the ranks. Roy Jones Jr. didn't just immediately fight at heavyweight. He moved up from 154, gradually moved up, accomplished whatever he needed to at middleweight or wherever, and then he moved up and tried for a title or tried for an opportunity with John Ruiz at heavyweight. And that's how it should be. But nowadays, that's not what boxing is. It's all about promoters and money and greed and whatever fight sells or you think is going to sell. And you just feed that and force feed that to the public. And it's not just Top Rank. It's Al Heyman. It's Golden Boy. It's De La Hoya. It's all of them motherfuckers. And I don't think that's how boxing should be. I think boxing should be kind of more, take a page from the history books and how it was. Again, it just makes more sense to gradually go through the steps. So fighters like Terrence Crawford, Chris Algieri, they're not fighting at the same division as Pacquiao. There is no real rush. They're young guys, young enough to the point where let them get some fights in the can. Let Chris Algieri get some pro-level experience with a high-caliber 140-pounder. That's where he has the title. Why is he moving up to fight Pacquiao? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Again, I'm not knocking it if they do come to a deal in terms of Chris Algieri getting his payday, because I don't hate on someone getting money. But I don't think that's right for his career unless you just purely want it for the money. I would definitely favor Pacquiao versus Chris Algieri, even though stylistically Chris Algieri poses problems because Pacquiao has struggled with a pure boxer. It's just Chris Algieri, we don't know everything about him. We know what we've seen on a couple of his televised fights, and we know he's a good boxer and that kind of stuff, but we don't know how he's going to look at a higher weight division, a catch weight, anything like that. Again, his biggest fight, his biggest win is against Ruslan Provodnikov. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like the video. As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next video, it's Ego signing off.